Welcome to the Income Tax Law and Practice class with me, Adela Samuel, Head Department of Accounting and Finance. In today's class, the topic is going to be house property. So we are starting off with Unit 3, house property. What is house property? Okay, let us learn about the meanings of certain terms that we need to understand. First one is the meaning of the term building. Enclosure of brick, stones or mud used for residency, office, godown, factory, shop, etc. So any building that is made of bricks and stones and mud which is used for these purposes, which we call that as a building. Number 2 is land appurtenant. Land enjoyed or occupied with building like compound, kitchen, garden, car park, etc. So just a land where there is a building like a small compound or a kitchen or a garden, only that will be there in the land. That is called as a land appurtenant. Then the third factor that you need to remember, the meaning you need to know is annual value. It is a notional rent which could have been derived if the property has been let out. To determine the annual value, the following factors have to be considered. Considered are actual rent received or receivable, that is de facto rent. Another term that is given for actual rent received or receivable is called as de facto rent. The actual amount of rent collected from the tenant during the previous year. There are two situations. One is where the actual rent when the tenant agrees to bear the owner's obligation, or when the actual rent when the owner agrees to bear the tenant's obligation. So on these two situations, finding out the actual rent or receivable is what we consider as de facto rent. And based on this, they will go in for finding out what is the annual value of the house property. So if a house was rented, what amount of rent to be charged? That is what is called as the annual value of the land or building. Okay, the next term is municipal value. Municipal value is the value that local authorities deem as rental value of the property. So the local authorities or the corporation, whatever value they give for the property in a particular area is what we consider as municipal value. Then we have fair rent, or it's otherwise called as fair rental value. That is the rent fetched by a similar property in a similar locality with the same facility. So in the same area, if you are having another property, whatever is the rent that can be fixed in the same locality for a similar property, that kind of a rent is what is called as fair rent. Then we have standard rent. Standard rent, it is the maximum rent to be collected by an owner of the property from a tenant under the Rent Control Act. This should be the highest level of rent amount. So the maximum ceiling of rent that is fixed according to the Rent Control Act is what is considered as standard rent. Now we are going to see the procedure for calculating or computation of income from house property for a let out house. So this is the standard procedure that we will be following. First, we will take the gross annual value. We'll have to find out what is the gross annual value of the house property. From that, we have to minus the municipal tax that is paid by the owner or the tenant. Then net annual value will be found. So if you minus gross annual value from municipal tax, you will get the net annual value. From this, there are two deductions that you usually do. Deduction under section 24, that is the standard deduction, which will be net annual value into 30%. And the next deduction will be interest on housing loan. If you've taken any housing loan, interest on that amount will be deducted. So this will give you the income from house property. This is how you have to calculate the income from house property. Now what we are going to see is determination of gross annual value. How do we calculate the gross annual value? Because the very first step in our computation is to find out the gross annual value. First case, how to find out the gross annual value is when a house property is let out for the full year. Case number one is if the standard rent is not applicable. If in the sum they don't have the standard rent at all, how will you calculate the gross annual value? So the other three values will be given in the sum: actual rent, municipal rent and fair rent. So out of these three, whichever is the highest will be taken as the gross annual value. That will be your first step in case the house property is let out for the full year. The second case is where if the standard rent is applicable. So in the previous case we said standard rent is not given. Second case is where standard rent is applicable. In this situation itself there are three things you need to remember. Three rules that are to be considered. So under that, number one, if the standard rent is given to you, number one case is compare the actual rent and the standard rent. If the actual rent is more than the standard rent, then take the actual rent as the gross annual value. Okay, so first case is you are going to compare the actual rent given in the sum and the standard rent given. Compare whichever is the highest. Now, if the actual rent is more than the standard rent, then the actual rent will be considered as the gross annual value. The second situation is where the fair rent and the municipal rent should always be less than the standard rent. Okay. If the fair and the municipal rent are more than the standard rent, then the standard rent is going to be taken as the gross annual value. So in a sum, if only the fair rent and municipal rent and standard rent are given, you see which is the greatest one. Fair rent and municipal rent should always be lesser than the standard rent. If it is suppose more than the standard rent, then you have to take the standard rent only as the gross annual value. That is the second situation. Third rule is that if all the three values, that is actual, municipal and fair rental values given to you, and all the three values are lesser than the standard rent, then the highest among the three should be taken as gross annual value. Okay, so if all the three values are given to you and all the three are going to be lesser than the standard rent, then in that case the gross annual value is going to be the highest among the three values. This is how you'll go in for calculating the gross annual value. The next situation that we're going to see is when the house property is self-occupied. What is the meaning of self-occupied is when you own a house and you're going to stay in it. You're not going to rent it out. You're going to stay in the same house. In that situation, how will you calculate gross annual value? If the owner of the house uses the house for himself during the previous year, then the gross annual value is going to be nil because there is no rent at all. The gross annual value will be nil. Third situation is if the house is let out for part of the year and the remaining year it is going to be self-occupied. So partly it is self-occupied, partly it is let out. It is given out for rent. So in that case, what will happen? In such a case, treat the house as fully let out. The part where it is self-occupied is irrelevant. The fair rental value, standard rent, municipal rent is all calculated for 12 months. But actual rent will be calculated for the period that it is let out. Okay, so what you understand from the second situation is that if partly it is let out, the remaining year it is self-occupied, what will you calculate as gross annual value? You have to treat it as a fully let out house for all the 12 months of the year. So in that case, what happens? What happens is all the three values will have to be compared for 12 months and the actual rent alone, you will have to take it for let out period. Okay. Now the fourth situation is if the house is let out for part of the year because it is either purchased or constructed for the remaining year. Then in that case, calculate the fair, municipal and actual rent for which the house is let out. The highest among the three is taken as the gross annual value. So for the number of months it is let out, you calculate it. And the highest among the three, you will take it as the gross annual value. This is how you will calculate the gross annual value in these three cases. Now the fifth condition, fifth case is where when part of the house is self-occupied and the remaining part is let out. So the actual rent, municipal rent, fair rent, standard rent, municipal tax, interest on loan, all should be apportioned between the self-occupied and let out part portions according to the plinth or built up area. So the same house, you're going to give it half for rent and half you're going to occupy it. So in that case, how the income will be apportioned is according to the plinth or the built up area, that you need to remember. Now when the house property is let out with vacancy, sixth situation, where the property is let out and vacant for part of the year, compare the fair rent, municipal rent and actual rent for all the 12 months. And the highest value is going to be taken as gross annual value before the vacancy period. So then the actual rent lost in a few months due to vacancy is found out and it is deducted from the gross annual value before vacancy to find the gross annual value after the vacancy period. So in simple terms, what you need to understand here is, if say for example for 8 months the house is let out and for the remaining 4 months the house is vacant. So you calculate it for the entire year gross annual value. Then what you do, you minus the value for those 4 months alone. Then you will get the gross annual value after vacancy. That's how you're supposed to calculate. Next is when the house property is let out with unrealized rent. So the rent that cannot be recovered from the tenant is called as unrealized rent. Actual rent is calculated for 12 months and the gross annual value before unrealized rent is calculated. Then the unrealized rent is subtracted from it. So just like the vacancy, this also, if you're not able to get the rent for a few months, what you need to do is you calculate the sum for all the 12 months. Then after that, you're going to minus the value of unrealized rent. You're going to subtract it from the actual amount that you're finding out. So that is how you're going to do the seventh factor. Now these are the different ways in which the determination of gross annual value goes on. Now next is the deductions of municipal tax. What is this deduction of municipal tax? From the gross annual value, calculate the municipal or local or service tax. Now this tax is the municipal tax that is paid for the property that you own. The service tax can include sanitation cess, sewage tax, conservancy cess, etc. Okay, so these are the taxes that is levied on a property. So that has to be paid. First you find out the gross annual value, then you're going in for minusing the municipal tax. Now points that you need to remember while calculating this municipal tax. Municipal tax paid by the owner. You allow deduction. Municipal tax is paid by the tenant. You do not allow the deduction. Okay, so because you're calculating the income tax of the owner, you allow the deduction in case it is paid by the owner. If it is paid by the tenant, you need not allow the municipal tax. Second one, municipal tax can be claimed as deduction only in respect of let out house. So municipal tax, you can claim a deduction only if it is a let out house. If it is a self-occupied house, you cannot claim a deduction. Third one, municipal tax of previous year but paid in the current year is taxed during the payment year. Whichever year it's going to be taxed, that year amount only will be taken into consideration. Advance tax paid can be claimed as deduction only in the year it is due. So whichever year it is due, that year only you can take the advance tax also. Then property tax for land outside India paid to foreign local authority can be claimed as deduction. So any property that you have outside the country and you're paying any tax to the local authority, foreign local authorities, then that can be claimed as a deduction in India. Then sixth factor is refund of tax paid which was already allowed as deduction is not taxable. Any refund that you get from the municipal tax that you're going to pay, which is already allowed as a deduction, you cannot tax it now. That you need to remember. Then seventh factor is municipal tax paid by the tenant should not be allowed as a deduction. So any tax that is paid by the tenant, you cannot allow it as a deduction as if you had paid it. So that has to be avoided. So these are the factors you need to remember under a deduction of municipal tax. Situation is the deduction under section 24. This is a standard deduction that is given for any house property. So there are two deductions under section 24. One is the standard deduction and the second one is the interest on loan. So even in the computation format, we had seen these two deductions. So number one is the standard deduction under section 24A. 30% of net annual value is considered as standard deduction. Whatever you calculate as net annual value, out of that 30% is given as a standard deduction for every person who has a property. The second one is interest on loan under section 24B. It is the interest paid in money borrowed for acquiring, constructing, repairing, renewing, reconstruction of house property. Interest on loan is deducted on accrual basis. Interest on fresh loan taken to repay existing loan is allowed as deduction. So, any interest paid in money borrowed for acquiring. So, you're going to take a loan for acquiring, constructing, repaying, renewing or reconstructing your house. Any interest that you receive, interest on loan is deducted on, interest that you have to pay on the loan that you have taken or it can be deducted as a deduction under section 24B. Interest on fresh loan taken to repay existing loan is allowed as deduction. So any loan that you take, you have to pay an interest for it. So that interest amount you can deduct it as a deduction under section 24B. That is all. Third one is reconstruction interest. Pre-construction interest. Pre-construction period is the period commencing on the date of borrowing and ends on the March 31st immediately prior to the date of completion, construction, acquisition or the date of repayment of the loan, whichever is earlier. So when you talk about pre-construction interest, you have to first calculate what is the pre-construction period. Pre-construction interest means after you take the loan, you have to construct the house. Before constructing the house, you will have to take the loan. So that period is what is called as pre-construction period. So period commencing from the date that you're borrowing the amount and till the 31st of March, immediately prior to the date of completion of construction or acquisition or the date of repayment of the loan, we consider that as the pre-construction period. A maximum of rupees 2 lakhs deduction as interest. If this is another condition, a maximum of 2 lakh deduction as interest if loan is borrowed on or after 1/4/1999 for acquiring or construction. Acquisition or construction should be completed within 5 years. If construction is extended for more than 5 years, a maximum of rupees 30,000 is allowed as deduction. So this is another condition that is given. Maximum of 2 lakhs can be deducted as interest if you are going to borrow a loan before this date and if you are going to finish your construction before the given time period. Okay. Then there is another condition also stating maximum of rupees 30,000 as deduction if the loan is borrowed before 1st of April 1999 for acquiring or reconstruction, repair or renewal of the house property or the loan is borrowed on or after April 1st, 1999 for reconstruction, repair, renewal of the house property. So this you need to remember. These are the conditions that you need to remember. But when you do the sums, you would be able to understand it much more clearer. Other information regarding this house property. Taxability in respect of more than one property if self-occupied. If there is more than one house and it is self-occupied, two houses are treated as self-occupied. Okay, so you own more than 2-3 houses. You can consider two houses as self-occupied and the remaining houses as let out. The other houses are deemed to be let out. The income of the deemed to be let out house is calculated as a let out house. So what is a deemed to be let out house means? If you're occupying more than one or two self-occupied houses, then you have to consider only two as self-occupied and the remaining you have to treat it as let out house. So when you're treating it as a let out house but it's actually not a let out house, we call it as a deemed to be let out house. So the income of deemed to be let out house should be calculated just like a let out house. Two self-occupied houses should be chosen in such a way that the net income of both the houses is reduced to the minimum possible level. So even if you're having more than 3 to 4 self-occupied houses and it is not given for rent, you have to choose the houses which are going to show as self-occupied in such a way that both the net income of both the houses is going to be reduced to a minimum possible level. The interest on loan taken for construction or purchase if the two houses which is treated as self-occupied should not exceed rupees 2 lakhs altogether. So if you're having 2 or 3 interest amount on loan for construction purpose, then in that case it should not exceed 2 lakhs altogether. Second one is taxability of arrears of rent, section 25B. Any arrears of rent received in previous year is taxed in that year after deducting 30% of standard deduction. Okay, so that has to be understood. The next one is when net annual value is negative. If the net annual value is going to be negative, that means the municipal tax paid is more than the gross annual value. So the standard deduction of 30% cannot be claimed. So when you first step is to calculate the gross annual value. The next step is to calculate the municipal tax. So if municipal tax is more than your gross annual value, then in that case, everything will become negative. So standard deduction of 30% cannot be claimed. These are the various informations that you need to know under the head house property. So thank you students. Thank you for patiently listening to all the information regarding house property. These are the basic rules for all the sums that we're going to work out under house property. So make sure you listen to this video again and again, understand all the notes, all the points under house property so that you will be able to work out the sums without any problem. Thank you.